build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance.
Hello everybody, welcome to Longbangers. I'm Matty.
I'm Colin.
And I am Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
I was wondering how long he was going to say it there. I thought he's not going to say anything. He's going to say fucking say nothing.
This is my new thing. Every week, I'm just going to come up with a different name that isn't mine because I thought there was quite a wee bit of success when I said that I'm not Colin, so I'm just going to run with it.
I like that.
I was waiting for a Clem Fandango. Is what I thought you were going to go for when you started. I was like, oh, good, we're going to get a Clem Fandango. Can you hear me? There was a woman. So it turns out she's a female golfer. I can't remember if I showed you this. When it was last night, was it for Curry? It came up on my Google feed, like just like a news story. I'm trying to find it. Paige Spiranac. Do you know her?
Spiranac, yeah.
Spiranac, right.
Came up on his news feed. Is
that the one? That's not the one he shared last week.
There's evidence, right? I did share it. How do you pronounce your surname, John?
I think it's, or at least I think it's Spiranac. That's how I pronounce it.
So the headline on the Google feed was Paige Spiranac says she has, in inverted commas, fantastic milkers and vows to change her name to Alpha Jugs. And I was like, that's fucking brilliant. So if she can change her name to Alpha Jugs, then John, you are more than welcome to change your name weekly on here to whatever you like. But
for a quid to change your name, innit?
Is it through deed poll?
Legally.
Cheaper through a live poll.
Could you imagine I was to change my middle name to Curvy Nisbet?
Yes, I can imagine that.
Like, see that sort of thing, that really, really amuses me. I know it would probably hold me back in my life, my career, whatever, but I still find it really quite amusing.
Well, you go for it. You fill your boots, and you don't have to do it legally. You can just do it on here, which is the same thing, I think. If you have to fill out a passport form, or just link to here. Say, like, I've used it. It's common usage. That's my fucking name now. I'm pretty sure that's how things work in life now. You just decide that's what you are, and everybody has to bend to accept it. So,
what should my pronoun be?
Cunto.
Curvy. I don't know. I'll need to think about that one.
You have a think about that. We'll talk about the important things in the meantime. Right, Hibs 2-2 Dundee United yesterday. I don't know about you guys, but normally when you get a last minute equaliser, it feels fucking magic and you come away quite buzzing. Didn't you feel like that yesterday?
No.
I am going to respectfully disagree. It wasn't quite Josh Campbell volley or half volley. It wasn't quite Martin Boyle equaliser in the derby. But one of my mates had nipped off with 5 minutes to go, and he left me with his laddie to look after. Because he was insistent. I know, he was insistent.
Like some kind of
I want to beat the traffic, John. Watch him.
It's funny. It's funny because so they were on the Albion before the game, so they were going back to the Albion, and my mate says, right, that's me, I'm just going to head round the corner. And then his wee laddie says to me, are you going into the Albion? I says, no, pal, I'm going home. You should have seen the look at his face, like, oh, fuck. But I know he was adamant that Hibs were going to score, and Hibs scored, so he got the obligatory, like, lifted up big cuddle, and the other boy Jeff was standing beside us, so there was a wee sort of high five and that. Like, it was a shit afternoon, and it was a pretty I'm going to say shit game. I think the referee did his best to make it a shit game.
Remind me to talk about
I was quite happy.
John.
I know, I was like, it was going to be one of my points about, like, last minute equalisers, because it was all but the last kick of the ball. I think maybe Hibs had one, like, sort of attempted attack after that, like, for way, like, right back or something. We're going to lump the ball forward, and the referee blew the whistle. But I kind of, like, I didn't come away feeling amazing, but I felt good for having seen Kevin Nisbet score an equaliser in front of me.
Took the edge off it a bit. But it wasn't like after, like you say, the first 2 games of the season, or the first 2 home games of the season. But it did take the edge off it a bit, because I was sitting thinking, fucking hell. And I were in, I was like, fuck me. And because what was really annoying wasn't it was annoying that we were that bad. But I actually just thought they were better than us. I just thought they were a better football team than us.
See,
that was what was annoying me more than at 60, 65 minutes. And then we kind of went, we'll just sit in now. And then we had all the or the play after that, I thought. But that was what was annoying me more than how bad we were, was that Dundee United were better than us.
See, I thought that the way that the game had started was that it ebbed and flowed a wee bit, because I think for the first 5 to 10 minutes, Dundee United were the better team. Like, Hibs suddenly started, and I think they scored in like the 7th minute or something. And then we've gone up the other end and actually started playing a bit. I can't remember the sequence that it happened, whether we scored or whether we hit the bar first. But then it's almost like we had a little bit of momentum in the game, and then Dundee United started coming back at us, and then we got back into it.
I
think by that,
football than us in that as well, though. Ken, it wasn't just like they seem to be knocking it about.
Oh, definitely.
And Ryan, that was on Spaces earlier, said something like they're better coached than us. I don't know if that's what it is, but I just thought they played better football than us, which is probably down to how they've been coached and what they're doing, I guess. But sorry, John, interrupted.
No, I was just going to say, like, come the 60th minute. So what I was saying before was the referee. I thought he did his best to be really, really pernickety. So I'm talking about like the ebb and flow of the game, and it looked like it's sort of around 20 minutes. It looked like it was going to be a really good football game, despite the team's relative positions in the league and the difficulties that Hibs have been having of late. And then the referee comes in with his whistle, like pulling stupid things back, like Lewis Stevenson for a tug that nobody saw.
What I thought was funnier, pulling the throw-ins back because they took them too far back.
It's exactly what I was just going to mention. And there was the one that he pulled back in the first half where the ball got stuck under the advertising boarding. But then there was a throw-in, I think, in the second half, almost the same position, and he let that go. And I don't know, like it might be erring on sort of conspiracy theory, but I thought he was really quick to blow the whistle whenever it came to Hibs. But when it was Dundee United, I think he took a little bit longer. But
the talking to the goalkeeper. The signalling.
Final warning.
I'm adding the time on. Fucking, he went right up. Wasted their time talking to him.
Yeah.
Didn't they book him? There was no. But then he did it again. Went and had another word with him. And it's all very well gesturing that you're adding the time on, but they put 3 minutes up at the fucking end.
It wasn't I don't think it was the worst example of gamesmanship yesterday. But one of the questions I was going to ask you both was, which was worse yesterday, Hibs' performance or Dundee United's gamesmanship? Because I thought it was possibly one of the. I thought it was like a really good example of how teams at the bottom end, like teams that are struggling in the league, just try and find any advantage that they possibly can through any particular. I mean, like the Dundee United keeper, like I think almost as soon as the second half kicked off, was starting with his time wasting. And then you had a number of players. I know, Colin, that you mentioned about like head knocks and what have you, head knock protocol. There's a number of players went down yesterday injured, and it was always the same. Like Hibs win a corner, right, player goes down injured, and it just kills any momentum.
It's a horrible rule, or the way that the process rather than rule. Because the rule's right, if you get head knocked, they should stop the game. But the actual process is just fucking nonsense, because it's just getting taken liberties in now. I've seen somebody on Twitter talking about it as well with Hearts every time. I think it's when they make a sub or something that the guy goes down with the head knock for like, and it kills like even longer before he then gets subbed. Yeah. But then they're all available the next week, or in the Ross County when we played Dundee United.
Yeah,
you're going, there's fuck all wrong with them. You just played on. You know, it's like if you've been doing 3 times in a match with a head knock, like the Ross County guy was. I know it's Dundee United we're talking about, but I don't know if it was the same guy yesterday. Ross County guy was 3 times. You're like, same boxing. If you're doing 3 times, the referee just stops the fight. Yeah, it's done, mate. Over. Like, so he should never have got to play on. If you've been doing 3 times with a head knock, you should be up to A&E. Get that fucking scanned.
Aye. The only players that I can that have missed games through concussion have been Hibs players. Like Hanlon missed some, Melkers and Bogdan. Bogdan was missing for ages playing with concussion.
Was that because he hit the post in a game and ended up getting subbed?
I can't mind how it happened.
Yeah, mate.
Anyway, we digress. Right. What I talked about the starting lineup, right? So my talking point, and I've raised it before, right, is about the idiocy. I'm going to use the word, it's quite a strong word, right? So maybe idiocy is a bit too far. Insisting on players playing out of position. So yesterday, and this isn't the captain hindsight, because we said it when the team came through. Josh Campbell, who has been one of our best midfielder, if not our best midfielder this season, right? Against all the odds because of how we finished last season and all the rest of it, he's got a genuine claim, I think, to be considered our best midfielder this season. Gets put to right back. Ryan Porteous, who definitely is our best defender, gets taken out of defence. A defence that's already fucking weak because we're missing our right back and put it in the centre midfield. So you then, because we're missing Cadden, who was the player that's out there, you've got one player that you need to replace. You've got two players then go and play out of position. On the bench, we've got two right backs, Megwa and Miller, and Chabraya at left back. You've got options there. Stevenson's played right back loads of times in his career. Stevenson could have went, I think, had done a better job at right back than Josh Campbell and let Chabraya play left back. You can play Porteous centre half. Even if you want to keep Campbell at right back, bring Porteous back and have the middle of your defence as strong as it can be to maybe compensate for it.
Three at the back.
The back is what we ended up doing. Aye. And I just think there's this, it almost feels like a stubbornness or a vanity project to play Porteous in midfield. Now, we spoke about it before. Porteous in midfield, it didn't work at Ibrox. It was out his depth there. Then we beat Livingston, I think was the next game, but they were down to 10 men, and you probably could have got away with quite a few changes in midfield in that game because Livingston, once they went down to 10 men, didn't really offer anything. Didn't he miss the derby? He played the last 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes in midfield against Motherwell, which we won. And then yesterday, I thought he looked lost in midfield until we got moved to centre half. But I thought he had a really good game after it. Josh Campbell obviously had a bit of a difficult time at right back until we changed the system as well. Just like it seems like a pointless exercise when you know Porteous is going anyway. Like
I'm not sure what the value is,
Aye. Yeah. Whoever signs Ryan Porteous, whatever his next move is, they're not going to sign him and say, we're signing him to play in midfield. They're going to go, so when you sign,
try to get his value in by saying, look at him in there. He's not very good,
Aye. It's like he'll come in a centre half. And when I was talking on Spaces earlier on, I was making the point that to get to elite level football, right, and we'll class, although there's better leagues in the Scottish Premier League, to get to the point where you're playing first team football in a Premiership club, you tend to have had to have specialised in a position. There are very, very few players who can move position to position to position without any noticeable impact in their performance. Some players can, really, really, really good ones can do it, or players who are average and like a 6 or 7
utility
10,
man.
A utility man, right? But most players need to specialise in a position, and especially centre halves, centre midfielders, jobs that require you to be able to act on instinct. You can't do that if you've never played that position. If you've played all your youth career and then your first team career to date as a centre half, it's a huge ask to go and perform against other elite central midfielders and expect them to do a job. I just think it's mental. And to do it with a player who's about to move anyway, there's no short-term gain because you're taking a hit for him not being able to do it. And then there's no medium or long-term gain because you're going to lose the player. I just don't get why we would do it. So what do you think? Where do you stand on that point?
I agree. Is that us done?
That's us. Yep. John, you see any benefit in it?
Can I just quickly make a wee shout out to Dave Graham, because this is going to be one of those moments where I go, sorry, what were you saying? I've got nothing. I don't know why we're playing Porteous in midfield. I don't know why. Like, the only thing that I can really point to that would suggest that Ryan Porteous has the makings of a central midfielder or the sort of defensive central midfielder, like the ball winner that we're lacking maybe, is the challenge that he made against Motherwell, where he won the ball quickly, moved it forward to Josh Campbell, who swung the ball and Hibs scored. I think that was Nisbet's hat-trick. But that's the only thing.
Instinctive football, though. That wasn't specific to centre midfield, was it, really?
No, but that's the thing. Like, so that's one example, and compared to Matty's, was it 5, half a dozen maybe? I don't get it. The only thing I can really think of that Johnson's doing in that situation is going with a player who has quality. So Porteous, I think, we're in agreement, has qualities of football, although there's other bits about his game that he could probably improve on. And he doesn't trust other players to play in positions. So the conversation yesterday, I think, was about Megwa playing at right back.
Mm-hmm.
I've not seen him play, but he's a right back. And he's gone with Josh Campbell there. And I think he's talked quite highly of Josh Campbell before. I'm not going to reel off any of the qualities because I can't actually remember him. But Josh Campbell,
have a guess at some. Two.
I'm going to say
two there.
Energy and determination.
Philanthropist.
So that's why he's gone with Josh Campbell there, because he trusts Josh Campbell rather than going with tried and untested. Because if you remember, he tried Will Fish at right back at Tynecastle, who made an absolute cunt of it.
Yeah, but that was not to do with being a right back. That was just shit defending. That suggests how the fuck's he still getting a game, rather than like what position is he? To me, like, because I said a midfielder, I said a forward should be able to, a goalie should be able to roll that body to play. Like, you don't need to be a football player.
But I think Fishy's inability to see that ball to play there puts Lee Johnson under pressure, and he's already a manager under pressure. Like, everyone is on his back, and like you've seen the chat about Johnson now. It's been going on for quite a few weeks now, and I think that's why he went with the team selection that he did yesterday. But it doesn't make any sense with the way that you framed it there, Matty, because there are a number of other options available. And actually seeing, I think I said this when Colin was missing the other week there about playing Fish, like the sort of naivety of youth. You kind of look at it and go, oh, right, that boy can do a job there. But I saw him in the lineup yesterday and went, oh, fuck me, like, what's going to happen? That's not a criticism of Fish in particular. That was a criticism of the starting lineup, because it just looked, I'm not going to say dysfunctional, but it looked unbalanced. Because again, like I think I'd put on Twitter maybe a few weeks ago, for anyone that ever pays any attention to the shite that I tweet on there. I like to look at a starting lineup and go, right, that's roughly 4-4-2 or it's 4-4-3 or whatever it happens to be. You looked at that lineup yesterday, you're going, all right, if he plays here and he plays there, you try and put some sort of 11.
So you went in and tried to work out, immediately thinking Lee Johnson's fucking got this all over the shop. When I saw it, oh, and by the way, thanks to Mike for his ticket to the Albion Bar. I was in the Albion Bar yesterday before the game, and to you, John, for giving yours. I've said to Mike I'll give him an alibi if he needs one.
You're not going to give him the lime, no?
When I saw that team, like, my daughter got it up on her phone, and I said, I assumed Fish was at right back and just assumed it was a 4-4-2. And because the way it was almost the way it was listed, and I know they list them. I think they list them in numerical order rather than positional order. But actually, the way it was Marshall, Fish, Porteous, Rocky, and I thought, oh, it's just a 4-4-2 with Fish at right back. That was what I thought. And then I seen a couple of things in a group chat going, it's definitely because somebody told them I think it was in the Albion actually. Somebody got told on the way past that it was Rocky and Fish at centre half, and I'm like, I'm not sure. Like, I've seen that team listed there. It makes sense to me how it is. Whereas you've immediately went in and went, well, he's not going to be fucking doing that. He'll have done something fucking daft. You know what I mean? You started there, whereas I just started with what I thought was common sense and thinking, well, because I didn't think Fish making that mistake. I know, but Fish making that mistake in the derby, like I've said, I don't think that was because he was a right back.
No, I agree.
I just think it was a really bad bit of football.
Aye.
And it wasn't a positional thing. You know, whereas Campbell struggled positionally last week with the goal when he lost the flight of the ball and all that. I have to dealt with that better.
Yeah.
Even if he was at right back. So I was surprised that it was they two at centre half, but it's just a bit of, just a jumble to the team. I said to, I don't know if I said to anybody in Albion, I said to the boy that sits in front of me when I got up to my seat, and he was got to say the exact same point. We've got two right backs on the bench. Now, if Miller's not ready, why is he on the bench? If the laddie's not ready, fine, put him on the bench, get him used to the round with the squad and that. If they're both ready and available, why the fuck are we playing somebody to position there? Start Miller, right? Because he's the experienced player, or more experienced player. And when he tires, what's the score? If we're doing all right, bring the laddie on, give him some minutes. If no, then you can start fucking putting players out of position and saying an experienced player, just fucking do a job there. Whereas, and then Miller's got 60 minutes in his legs. Instead, we've got 2 right backs in the bench against next week, and they've still not played any fucking minutes, so they're still not ready.
Aye.
It's like what the fuck are we doing? Mental.
It's back to front in it, and it's so frustrating because, like I said, none of us have been Captain Hindsight with this. This was called out and discussed before the game kicked off. We were all having a conversation about how it was just like a mess and asking for trouble. And you saw the way that we started the game, and it was a shambles. And actually, much of the performance was a shambles because we didn't look like a cohesive unit at all. Really, even when and it'll take me on to my next point, which I'll come on before I get points for you guys. Lee Johnson is almost, or is regularly now, because we're chasing games a lot of the time, having to do Hail Mary tactics, which, and I might have got that phrase wrong, right? So I think it comes from American football. If I'm remembering my John Madden days on the Sega Mega Drive, right? There was an option to do Hail Mary, which was just pretty much you chuck everything at it to try and get the ball forward.
Hail Marys.
Was that?
Is it Hail Mary
in a different context? This is in a sporting context. Is Hail Marys for which you get, I don't know, for as a row, you have to do it as a punishment, like lines.
Right.
No.
I think the equivalent of lines, but with priests. I'm not meaning like that. I'm meaning for the American football term, which I think I've got right. If I've got it wrong, I apologise. But this is what I mean anyway. It's like you have to chuck everything at it. 4 forwards on the pitch. You're sacrificing defenders, and you just go, I can just keep lobbing the ball forward, get it forward as quick as you can. Hope we pick up a second ball or a ricochet or get a shot away that goes in, and try to force the issue that way. If you're having to do that consistently, your actual normal tactics are fucked. Like you're doing something wrong regularly to get to that stage. We shouldn't always be chasing the game and hoping, can we get a last minute equaliser or winner? It's evidence of something else that's going wrong.
Aye, and it was the same. I mean, so last week he brought in all these subs. Mind everybody went, oh, for fuck's sake, and then we scored right away because of that bit of play for Porteous and that we spoke about. But then yesterday he made the change and immediately scored as well. So it's a wee bit lucky as well, because I don't think that the goal was created because of the change of formation. It was just that Josh Campbell was further at the park and able to play a nice wee square ball into Nisbet, because that's what it was. But it's no like, it's almost like you could see him, you could sense he's thinking, I'm a fucking genius. Change that tactic. You know what I mean? And you fucked up in the first place.
Aye, because I think he gave a bit to the fans behind the dugout after it looked like it. So I sort of had distance. So it might have been,
because they were probably shouting for him today. The fucking change, no doubt, because everybody could see it. You know?
Well, the atmosphere was terrible. Up beside us, folk were going fucking rage and shouting at Johnson a lot about needing to change things and just pretty much expressing dissatisfaction at the current state of affairs on the pitch. So I can imagine if he was hearing that around the bottom, he probably felt after he's made the change. But it is like
that's never a good sign.
Nah.
Like when the fans are that dissatisfied and the manager decides that he's going to start giving some back, like that to me is just another tick in the box that he'll not be Hibs manager for much longer, regardless of how we feel about it.
I think there's some managers. The thing is, the manager has to be able to back it up. And the problem with Johnson doing it, if that's what's happening, this is a big caveat where if there's a lot of heavy lifting. If he has had a go because he's like, well, I've made the change now, I'm vindicated, and fuck yous because we're now one each. It was how long till we lost the second goal? Like 5 minutes, something like that. We weren't at level for that long before United scored again. And then you're like, well, are you turning around and saying, fuck, maybe I should have changed it again? Are you holding your hand up and saying that you've still not got it right? And if you're not doing that, then you turn around and give it the big get it up you when it works.
Yeah. You do wonder about how they're being coached or even, you know what, some it's not even coaching, some it's just like desire and all that stuff, because I saw, was it 9125 tweeted earlier on with a clip, and Kerry does a clip and he gives you a bit of text around it, and it was one of the goals, and he was basically saying it was Porteous in the midfield, didn't track the runner, ball watching and all that, and I heard Ryan for down the slope on Spaces earlier, and he was saying that he'd pointed out to Liam 4, 5, I can't remember how many times, and 3 times in a space of 5 minutes maybe, or 5 times in 3 minutes, whatever it was, about Newell just ball watching. And I thought, that's interesting. And then I read the 91-25 thing, and he's saying the same about another midfielder in the team. And it's like, they're just exposing the defence by switching off based on those 2 people. Like, I mean, I've not really noticed it myself, but there's clearly something wrong, right? Because the defence can't defend.
Well, we talked about after the Celtic. I mean, Celtic ripped us apart. And Celtic are a good team with good movement. And Dundee United's movement wasn't as good as Celtic's is, but it was still good. But the amount of times we were ball watching, like I was watching the game, and it was the same. You look at their first goal, comes a throw in, and June it's a simple run. They've not done
that's
anything.
What we were going to say, yeah.
Aye, nothing spectacular.
The last time we played Celtic, just a couple of weeks ago at Christmas time, it was we never got booked. No bookings. It's like half a second off everything because they're no on it. Like they're not alert or whatever. They're going, oh fuck, he's past it. Somebody else will need to tackle him now, and they're doing the same. And before you know it, somebody's getting a shot away, and it's like they're letting goals in against even the shite teams because of it.
Do you think some of the malaise and the apathy that fans have described about going to support Hibs at the moment is spread to some of the players? And I know that there's a different discussion about like your professional football players or whatever, that they shouldn't be feeling that. But like for what we're describing there about players just kind of like watching the opposition run by them and not putting a foot in or whatever, that's kind of what it suggests to me.
I think some of it, John, it goes back to what we're saying about players not doing the job that they're skilled at doing, but asked to do something that's not their natural game. In some instances, I mean, some of it, I would say, it will come down to desire and work rate.
No, you're right, because that they're thinking, that the extra bit of thinking they have to do because it's not natural to them, is taking them off the pace, and because they're playing against others that are elite, as you said earlier, they're not thinking about it. They're just doing what they're meant to do, whereas they're going, oh shit, I'm meant to go there. But that time, boys are already away.
And I think probably doesn't help the fact that we seem to be changing system through the games a lot as well to adjust to what's happening or react to what's happening on the pitch. And you look at Dundee United's second goal. So by this point, we've moved to 3 at the back, I think.
I didn't think we did. Somebody put that.
Because Porteous went back. Porteous went back unless
they don't shift Fish to right back.
So maybe Fish has gone to right. So I wasn't sure if he'd put Stevenson and Campbell as wing backs to make up like the 5 in midfield. So maybe 5-3-2 when we're defending and a 3-5-2 attacking, because Porteous definitely went back into the defence beside Fish and Rocky. However, you've started off with a 4 at the back. It has changed, whether it's changed to a 3 or a 5. For their second goal, Stevenson is caught inside, so he could have handed off the player. I'm not sure who it was that he'd come in to challenge for the ball, but Stevenson's on the man. But because he's been drawn inside, Harks that scored?
Yeah.
He's got the freedom of that left-hand side to come in. So Stevenson eventually, having challenged for the ball, there has to then go across to make the challenge on Harks, and the ball deflects off him and goes in. But there's no cover from whoever would have been on the left-hand side, so whether that was Yuan coming back or McGeady or McGuinness or whoever, but it's easy to lose who's responsible for that when you've gone, this is how we're starting, 4-4-2, this is your job today, you have to cover this area, that area, when this happens, you should be there. When you change that 15 minutes into the game because it's fucking no working, you're going to get gaps in folk going, what am I meant to be doing when it's a 3 at the back, or is it a 5 at the back, or what are we doing now? That's how mistakes like that happen, because good teams, and or even, Dundee United are a good team.
Competent footballers.
Competent, but elite level, right? They're at the top flight in Scotland. They'll take advantage of it. They do. You can't get away with it at that level. We saw that yesterday.
Players like Stephen Fletcher and that, he'll find a gap. He'll find space. He's played at top level, proper top level.
Aye, and that's I think that's an issue we've got there now, and it's not always I think to do with malaise, John. To go back to your question, I think that the fact that we scored late on in the game and we kept pushing indicates that the players were trying. Like, I didn't think yesterday anybody was found wanting for effort.
Yeah,
quality was probably the bit that let us down. I think. I don't know. What do you think, Colin?
No, I agree. It was they kept going. Like that's one thing you've got to say. They kept fighting to the end. But see, I don't know what happened to at 80 minutes, right? Round about us, we went. It's got to be at least 15 minutes left, with injury time. Obviously, didn't they get the 5 in the end? But there's still time here to actually win this, because it felt like by that time the tide had turned a wee bit, because they had gave up to try to score and that. And next thing it was like 89. We're like, what the fuck happened to that last 9 minutes? It just went like that between 80 and 90, flew in, and then you're going, fuck's sake, what happened there? But they definitely didn't give up. It's just that there's a lack of, like you say, well, there's no lack of quality, right? Well, there is, but in areas, because you've got Nisbet, and McGeedy's got a bit of quality about him. Although he was early on yesterday, he was all right, and he kind of drifted, I think. But that's where I was. So change the subject a wee bit. But one of my points I was going to say is how have we ended up with a squad that's so big and bloated, but with no quality on the bench to bring on? Like, I'm looking at during the game yesterday, I was like, who's on the fucking bench? You're looking at 2 right backs, a left back, right? You're going, there's nobody to bring on, but then, well, Melkers and McCurdy were all there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the guy, they're no better than the guys up front that were there, and they were doing all right. Actually, the boys up front, it was all behind that was the problem. But there was nothing available to make that better. It's like, they could just list 11 and just say, fuck it, that's what we're going with, because there's nothing any better than this. And even, I'm only going to have to change it because I made a cunt to pick in the team. No, because actually there's anybody any better.
We had that conversation where we were moaning about how bad it was. And Josh said to me, he's like, what would you change? Came with the bench, what sub did you make? I look at it and go, Ken? Like, it totally backs up your point there, Colin, that you end up with a team that's so much a muchness, other than the 3 or 4 quality players that are actually starting. John, what did you think of the bench?
It's incredible.
I didn't look at it, I'll be honest. But for what you're describing, what do you do? Like, so if they're the guys that make the bench, right? So you've got a match day squad. I don't know how many folk are in it. So you've got 11 starters, and you've got what?
7 on the bench, isn't it?
7 on the bench. So the 7 on the bench, and you're saying that you're looking at it and you're not finding anything else. Like, that's surely the best of what's available.
Mm-hmm.
How do we find ourselves in that position?
That's what I mean. That's how bad recruitment has been. I suppose the answer is we've been brought, like we've spoken before about quality over quantity and all of that. We've just went quantity, because there's no quality. And that's harsh on some of them, because the laddie, like we're counting the laddie Megwa in there, right? We don't know anything about him. Seen him a couple of times for the under 19s. That's it. That's as far as it's went. I've seen him. But other than that, you're going, right, Schofield, he's never getting a minute. Right, Melkerson's no made any impact. He scored 2 goals once this time last year. That's it. And then we've got McCurdy, who had till yesterday when he hit the bar, done fuck all the whole time. He's been here. Fair enough. He's not been here. He's been here since the summer. Then you've got Chabraya, who can't get a game ahead of a 35-year-old that looks like he's on his last legs because he's getting totally exposed. Miller hardly played a minute, and when he has, he's not that brilliant. But, so you're going, fucking hell, like, is it Doyle Hayes, like, who's just a younger Joe Newell?
Aye, and who we accepted a bid for last week.
We wanted ready last week. And that's what we had in the bench.
So what happened with Jake Doyle Hayes then? If we accepted the bid, has he turned it down?
He turned it down. I think he didn't want to go. It was Forest Green Rovers that had come in for him, and it didn't happen for whatever reason.
Wasn't he willing to go vegetarian or something? Something like that. But that was the.
Is that a rumour?
Tweet that. Let's go with it.
Let's go for it. That's it. Jake Doyle Hayes eats meat. Heard it here first.
Wonder if he is. Imagine if he is actually vegetarian. I've just said that.
You'll be listening, going, "You fucking dickheads."
No.
But
there was nothing that you could go throw him on, and see what happens. Because actually, two of the strikers who you're thinking, well, you would maybe throw them on, but Melkers and McCurdy came on, fair enough, but they're no better than McGeady or Nisbet to come on for in the first place. They're not even close to being as good as him.
And we're still trying to ship players out. That's the thing. It's not even like the call's finished. I think Johnson's still got an eye on moving players out to free up, and I suppose how easy is it going to be for us to find players that are going to improve the squad?
We're leaving it to the last
2 weeks to the window left. I mean, was it 15th, 16th of January, 15th today?
15th.
Did we not have this conversation this time last year?
Aye.
I'm getting fed up with this. I'm just repeating myself.
We also have the January conversation that goes, it's not a very good window to buy in. But I don't know if that's just us because we're always fucking desperate in January, or if it actually, like, you can get good players. It's just that we're buying that fucking many all the time in January that there's got to be a load of shite there. But maybe if you were just focusing on improving the team with 1 or 2 additions, then you maybe could. But we're
going to end up getting some boy
every 6 months.
Fucking Celtic and Nottingham Forest reserves or something.
Aye, like a 21-year-old, and it's not what we need. We need
Henderson. He was on the bench as well. There's another one. You know what I mean?
I think. See, yesterday, I think if Henderson had been the answer to come on, I think I would have done time.
I definitely wonder what the question is, eh?
Aye. I was glad that never happened to the boy. Like it's not like he doesn't come on and try, but he's clearly not at the level they're now based on what we've seen of him so far.
So I see, just to try and throw the champion of the underdog line in for me that I'm known for, but like we looked at Rocky Bashiri last year and we went, oh, he's not at it. Josh Campbell, oh, he's not at it. I think all of these players potentially could be players that we're looking for, but the team is that shit and the management of that team is so shit and the coaching or whatever it is, whatever the fuck it is that's going on, I don't know. We're not getting the best out of them.
I mean, there is that argument, John, and you pick out 2 good examples. Although Rocky, I think, was never as bad as everybody made him out. I think Rocky last season got gypped because we were shite as a team, and he was just like lumped in. So like Jasper wasn't that terrible either. Everybody like fucking slaughters him now, but actually he was all right.
Everybody thought he was brilliant when he first came in the team.
Aye.
And it was this, but it's almost a wee bit like this with Rocky this year because the club have turned the PR round on it and made him out like he's like unbeatable at the back, and he's not. He's not. He wasn't as bad as folk were saying at the end of last season, but he's not as good as we're saying this year either.
Aye.
Like he's just all right.
It is a worry though. Like I didn't really have a lot of faith that we're going to sort it out in this window. And it's huge for us, really. We've got this game on Sunday against Hearts. It's massive for the season because we really need a cup run to get some money in the bank.
Season's over if for that point if you don't and get through.
Aye. If your season's done in January, it's a fucking nightmare. And not just the financial aspect, we want to get to Hampden again. You want to have the good days out. You want the team to be successful on the pitch. You definitely want to beat them because we've not beat them for fucking ages again. So, but you just look at it and go, I don't know how we're going to do it.
We're not. That's one of the big problems. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like I was saying just a few minutes ago, like we've been having this conversation, we've been having these podcasts, and the chat doesn't really change. Like there's been a couple of wee blips here and there where we've had a victory at the start of the season, but it wasn't looking too bad. We were like getting last minute winners or equalisers or whatever. But we find ourselves in a situation again, and it's not anything to do with it being a winter period. It's just continued mismanagement of the recruitment side, the playing side, everything. It's just an absolute fucking shambles. So we might as well just turn it in and start having a laugh instead, because it's not going to get any better anytime soon.
It'll not be long till we start making up daft names and sending in our own questions and Longbangers again. Was it February we started that last year?
Aye.
Let's not talk about the match. Let's just fucking...
Question for Peter Heed. I know it's grim. Right, John, you got a talking point for us?
Not so much a talking point as a question. Can I ask a question? Would that be all right?
You definitely can, aye. That's fine.
Okay. There was a lot of rubbish on the pitch yesterday. Does Easter Road have a litter problem, and is Ian Gordon responsible?
I noticed at one point a napkin, like a brown napkin. No, somebody sent us a picture of some sort of burgundy maroon type napkins in the in the stand, which is an affront to decency. But anyway, like a brown one floating about, and for a little bit, I thought about the film American Beauty. And that took my mind off the football for a wee bit. So I'm not sure if the letter's a problem or whether it's a welcome distraction. You ever seen American Beauty, Colin?
Aye.
You have?
Yes. Don't know
Excellent.
why. Weird that, eh? I've seen a film like that. But you didn't expect me to say
No,
either.
I didn't expect you to say that. I was like, fuck it, you totally threw me there. I was like, oh, it has.
Seen it.
Right. I was going to explain the reference.
That's the one
but
where he got
I'll not
obsessed with the lassie, yeah.
bother.
Aye.
And the boy films
Is that
the
Kevin
paper bag.
Spacey?
Aye.
It was like a... Was it a real story?
No.
Is it life? No.
No. It's not a documentary.
He's no DJ, we can't slander him.
I think he's been found guilty, you know.
I don't think he
Oh, I
has.
dunno.
No, yeah.
No, I don't think he has. So we have to tread carefully on that. Ian.
They binned him out of fucking House of Cards.
Oh, aye.
The last series to it. Fucked that up. The whole last year's series, yeah.
No, I want to get into these things. But what about anybody? Mendy, man, City getting found not guilty, or obviously there's still other charges to be
still one on the outstanding, eh? I know.
to go over. But I mean,
career's fucked, eh?
everybody had him as guilty. Yeah, everybody. I
think it was because of the number. Of them. It was like 6 charges or something. Eh? And he's been found not guilty 4 or 5 of them, and there's still 1 to go, or retrialed or something.
I've not followed the whole. So I'm reluctant to kind of speak in depth about it because for fear of ignorantly misspeaking on something. So, but I did see that and was like, it raised a few eyebrows. It just reminded me when you talked about Kevin Spacey, who I didn't think has been found guilty of anything yet either.
Is he not?
I don't think so. Again, I'm not close enough to confidently say so. Apologies to any Kevin Spacey
fans.
Is it Benjamin Mendy? Is that the boy's name?
Aye.
And obviously, I think we said this before that we hope he's got a wife or a sister or something called Wendy. It'd be a fucking crime if there's no. Anyway, right. Litter problem, John. Yes, especially when it's windy. The pitch looked terrible yesterday, though, didn't it? I think
when I came in, like at the bottom end of the west, at the away end, the pitch there was fucked right in front of me.
Is that Ian Gordon's responsibility as well? Are we holding him responsible for groundskeeping?
Ben Kensel.
Aye, it's a top guy. It's not the recruitment team's job to sort out the pitch,
unless they recruit the groundsman. Like I don't know how far it goes.
Well,
how did they scout the seeds?
I heard yesterday, third-party information, that Ben Kensel, he's just responsible for the deals. He's not involved in recruitment or that. So,
well,
it should be like.
But we know that.
Aye,
well, that's correct.
You'd actually be frightened if he was picking players because he's no
football man.
He's not qualified for it. He's qualified to do the numbers and the contracts and that. That's fine. Crack on.
Once somebody tells him that's the player we want, he goes and says, right, what you want? I want $6,000 a week. Well, we'll give 3.5. We'll meet in the middle at 4 then, 4.5. That's his job. You didn't need to be a football man for that. You just need to be able to add up and work the budget.
That rules me out.
So I think that is 100% the correct.
Aye.
That should be his role. That's all. Aye. But he gets dragged into it because obviously he's part of this fucking committee and all that. They started talking about it and then changed their mind on and like that. So that's where his name gets dragged into it. But I think he's on the committee from the point of view. They go, who you want? Fairney, fine. Give you $2,000 a week.
Aye. That's it. Just making sure it happens or doesn't happen, as the case may be. Do you have any other questions or talking points, John?
Oh, I've got a few. Do you want me to go through them?
I would love it, and then we'll get some for the listeners. Colin, you got any? You gave us one already about the quality of the bench. Do you have another one?
I was going to get boring ones about formations and that. I'm not going to bother.
So we'll get John's and then we'll go get a couple of tweets in.
Yes. So moving on from my weaknesses, let's move on to Colin's strength. We know that he likes to be a bit of head chef in the Colin household. In your opinion, Colin, which 3 beans make for the best 3-bean chili?
3-bean chili? I'd have a kidney bean in there. Definitely have a kidney bean. 3 or what? No.
3 beans.
I think I've ever made a 3-bean chili.
I don't think I've ever ventured past 2. I definitely stuck. It was kidney beans and baked beans that I had recently. There was just like some leftover baked beans in the fridge.
Did
So I
you
was
chuck
like,
them in? Aye, I've had
The-
that. I've had that.
The third one's your has. You have your has been.
Has been.
You put that in as well. Next, John.
Can you give the Albion Bar 12 o'clock club a shout out?
Yes, and to Andrew McBee and Joe Galetta who gave us passes for Saturday as well. Particular shout out to them, and Paul Sutherland who offered one as well, which we didn't need in the end. But thanks to you guys.
I've already said Mike as well. So
you've already said Mike. So it was good. I enjoyed the experience. A wee shout to the Hibs Talk boys as well, who gave up the table for us so we could push the tables together to watch the game. That was nice of them to do that for us. Aye.
2 other questions. So, out of 15, how would you rate Bojang's, Ormiston, Diggs?
Based on that wee video?
Aye. And only based on that video. No other knowledge called, only on that video.
No other knowledge. Right. I'm going about half roads, but that would give me a half mark. So I'll give it 8.
I'm going to go for a 5. I think for the way that it was filmed, I was disappointed not to see either blood or shite smeared on the wall at some point, with maybe like a message that just said "Help me," or a call the police sign
number
on the
of years
window.
Time like carved on the wall.
Handcuffs on the radiator or something.
A bowl for shit and a bucket for shit and a bucket for puke. You know, like in Trainspotting where Renton takes himself into his room. So you need a bucket for shite and one for vomiting and that.
Was it years ago that when Jim Leighton left, there was a whole article in the paper saying that he'd left the house he rented in an absolute fucking... There's a shit.
Was it? By the way, that's a rumour to start. Whether or not it's true, Jim Leighton doesn't tidy up. Heard it here first.
He couldn't have been doing, to pick stuff up. But it was. There was some. I'm sure it was. I don't know how that's came back to me.
It's a great one.
Record or something.
Well, I Google it. Jim Leighton.
It's that old. It might be pre-internet days though. When did he leave? Like 98 or something? Like no.
There'll be a newspaper archive article, surely. Maybe need to get down to the library, find the microfiche.
Aye, we need to have a look. I put just Jim Leighton mess, and there is one about a love split. He walks out with his wife for 25 years, but that doesn't mention anything. Having a quick scan about whether he tidied up.
I've found it already, by the way.
Have you?
It's in the free letter. So ex-Scotland keeps.
See, that's what I try to make out like he wasn't looking for Paige Spiranak and an Alpha Jugs earlier.
Hey, wasn't it?
Against a claim he trashed a £100,000 house, denies he's responsible for causing thousands of pounds worth of damage to an RAF officer's home he rented while playing for Hibs. Sued him for £9,000, 4-bedroomed house, 1992. £400 a month, that's what he was paying, fuck's sake. When he moved out 5 years later, 97, so I said 98. House was disgusting. There you are.
There you go.
Try to see what the date on that was. 1999. May 1999.
Good memory, Colin.
Fucking madness. How do I remember shit like that?
I bet you when you read it, you thought, I better remember that for in case in
23 years time.
23 years time, they've invented something. The podcasts weren't even a thing then. They've invented something that I can go on and talk about. That day, well, internet would have been 1999. Just right. Let's get some tweets and then we'll quickly talk about the derby before we record extra time. So extra time tonight. We got asked a brilliant question on Twitter Spaces earlier on. A guy called Tony. I'm sorry, I never got your surname. Asked what are Lee Johnson's strengths, and I was like, can he put us on the spot? So we're going to have a wee. I try to be as fair as possible because I think it's only right that if you tackle a subject like that we're fair and objective with it, and we will look for evidence of strengths and not just use it as an excuse to hammer the guy for half an hour because that's no fair. We also asked which of the current team that you would sort of nurture and build a team around. based on what we've seen so far as well. So those are the sort of the 2 points that we'll pick up on extra time. Right. Charlie McGrew thinks you made that up. It sounds familiar, Longbangers, and he's quoted the 90s football Twitter account, and it's Roberto Carlos who said, Hodgson's state inter destroyed me. He played me in midfield, and I had to consider that there was a chance that this would ruin my career in the national side. It's not that I did not have a good relationship with Hodgson. It's just that Hodgson doesn't know much about football. And so does that sound familiar?
Who said? Who's the player?
Roberto Carlos.
All right.
Famous for
free kick.
Aye. It was a good free kick. Was it the Toulon tournament or something? Where he
La Tournois.
Yeah.
He put almost out for a throw in, didn't he? And then it came back in. And then, of course, we had the Gambian Roberto Carlos try that at Easter Road. I did put it out for a throw in.
Decided didn't come back.
The famous Edinburgh Hibs said we have to be wary about the director of football appointment as we don't have anyone at the club capable of getting the right person. Ben Kensal was obviously going to make the decision along with Ron Gordon, but neither have the experience or knowledge needed to get the right person in.
You get director of football and you pick the new director of football.
It'd be brilliant if that was an interview question. Who would you pick, by the way? Just we're going to write it down, but it's just for our records. Who do you think is a really good director of football? This is the budget that they would have to operate with, and how much we can spend on them. Sorry, hypothetically, how much they would be getting spent on.
It's mad, because it's like it's that football man person stuff and all that, and you think, but it's got to stop somewhere, where it's not a football man that makes a decision. You know what I mean? It's like, so, it's like who appointed the boy that Hearts? Was it a football man that appointed him, or was it Anne Budge?
Budge, but input. I don't care if a previous director of football helped out with it or not. They might. What you would hope is that they get some advice for folk that they trust within football before they cement the appointment, and they go and say, "By the way, this is what we're thinking about. What you care about them? Would you recommend them, etc." Basically, get a reference.
Yeah.
Right. Also from the same person, famous Edinburgh Hibs, said the only reason the press likes Streaky Lee is because of the drivel that comes out of his mouth, and they're actually just laughing at him. Been saying this from day one that he wasn't right for the club, and he never will be. The only strength he has is being able to bullshit Ron Gordon. So that came up in spaces earlier on as well about Lee Johnson being popular with the press because he was good for a quote for them. Thoughts on that?
It works. But when we had Graham Spears on, 2 months ago, 6 weeks, whatever it was, I spoke to him about that because Jim Duffy got away with it for years. And I think it was because he was pals with the papers, and he admitted, Graham, didn't he, that you could always phone him up. You can still phone him up. And you'll get a quote. So he does get an easy ride. And I'd imagine, I had Craig Fowler off the terrace, on the terrace, I think, last week. And he obviously works for the Evening News online. And he was saying it's the first time, after the Motherwell game, I'm sure it was the Motherwell game he was talking about. Normally, they go out, they interview a manager, they interview a player, or the manager and a player after a game. And the players' quotes and that get kept for the Tuesday or the Wednesday later in the week, and then they get the press conference again, and that's how their week works. He says the first time in that he can remember, they've had to keep some of the manager stuff back because he just goes out and talks for ages, and they've got that much stuff that they're like, right, that'll do for Monday. We'll use that on Tuesday. So they love it because he's like, rent it, go away.
Did you?
And I think if he was winning, we would love it.
Yeah, we'd lap it up.
We'd like, it's brilliant. Communicator makes sure we all care what's going on. It's because we're losing or no winning or no playing very well that we're going, shut the fuck up and win some games.
Aye. Did you see Luke Shanley's interview with him on Sky? Luke was really good. He just pressed
was it as good as the boy off STV questioning Rishi?
No kicking arse off it, Colin.
Because that was good.
Because he said, you told me earlier in the season that you had final say when the players coming in. Recruitment's not good enough. Are you confident that you're going to have final say on the January signings? And he went, well, it's like every club, it's done like a collective. But are you going to have final say? And he's like, well, no, it's like a collective. And eventually he says, look, I'm not going to throw myself or anybody else under the bus for it. This is it's the same with pretty much all football clubs, how it works. And it moved on, but Lee was Luke just didn't he didn't let it go, and it was good. You're like, fair play to you for doing it. I'd like to hear a wee bit more of that. And you can see Johnson looked a wee bit flustered by it. And he was saying it as well, but why is it not good enough? Why? But you keep saying it's individual errors. Why are they still happening?
Luke getting pissed off watching that coming out. I'm fucking sick of watching this shite. Because that's what it comes back, doesn't it? He's a neutral and he goes away and does his job, but he's Hibs fan, eh? He's like, fucking hell, man.
But it was good. I'm glad he did it. It was good to watch it. Right, Jim Garner said it's now time to unleash McCurdy with Nisbet. Yuan is not the answer up top. What's your thoughts?
Yuan's a funny one because he shows flashes going forward, being able to do stuff because he's so quick. But he doesn't help the team defensively or at all. But then you could argue we've had players like that in the past who probably produced more, right enough. And you'd say, well, I didn't want them doing like Riordan is who I'm thinking. Fuck it. I used to say, fuck it. I'd let the other kids run a bit for him.
Aye.
Let somebody else just say, you're going to have to work a bit harder, Josh, for example, because he's good at football. So fucking days running. You know what I mean? And that's I think that's a legitimate point, but we're kind of carrying him now because he's no scoring goals. He's got more assists than I think most people in the league. I think Hibs have been firing that stat out, haven't they? But McCurdy's not shown much, but he looks like he'll work harder, and he had a good dig yesterday, so it's one shot.
Yeah.
Maybe I agree with him.
John, do you want to repeat the question?
If you wouldn't mind.
Would you play McCurdy instead of Yuan, effectively?
Yes, but with the caveat that the formation, the lineup, whatever, would need to change because you can't play McCurdy in the same position as Yuan, wherever the fuck it is that Yuan plays. Because McCurdy doesn't play. He's not got the pace to replicate what Yuan does in the same position, and I'm not sure that he's got the legs to do the defensive side. Albeit Yuan isn't really doing the defensive side either. But you wouldn't be getting the best out of McCurdy to play him in Yuan's position. And I think, after, I've not actually seen it, but there's obviously been a bit of chat about his about Yuan's Instagram reel. And I'm assuming, based on what people are saying, that it's as horrible to watch as I imagine it to be. It's like I assume it's going to be like it's like someone putting together like a DVD to try and pass off to a manager in the hope that they sign a player. Brilliant. If someone was to use that to sign Yuan, great, because I think I've just lost all patience with him. Yesterday with that bicycle kick. I
was going to say he was trying to get that on his highlight relay, but
cut at point of contact.
It's just in here, like that. But it was like the Canberra clip last week when he signed for whoever it is he signed for now down in the lower leagues in England, and you watch
Huddersfield.
Is it Huddersfield? Is it? You watch 2 minutes of that and you go, "Fuck me!" It's like a blonde-haired Ronaldo here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Banging boys out the road and smashing them in and that, and then you think. Aye, but that was that's 120 seconds of his career. That is it.
It's the best 120
it's all
seconds
totally out of context in that, and that's what I've not seen the Bojan, Christ.
Yuan.
What's his name? Yuan. I've not seen the Yuan stuff, but he has done nice touches here and there. So if you were just taking that out of context and ignoring that we got beat 6-1 and see the goal, or you see him go past the player but no score. Or no take the shot away where he's running fucking for halfway like his heart. So you think, fucking sitting in there, can maybe work with him.
Aye.
So fuck it, let him go, man. That's another one. I don't mind him, but if he goes, he goes. And I know that's one of the questions we're going to talk about later. But it's you could cull fucking 95% of that squad, and I don't think many folk would be bothered a fuck.
No. Cammy FTK said, thought McCurdy changed the game when he came on, actually wanted to run at players. I would add Jake Doyle-Hayes as well, made a difference when he came on yesterday. I thought he So I thought the game passed McGuinness by totally yesterday, apart from his fucking thunderfucker shot that rattled the bar, which would have been one of the best goals I've ever seen. Apart from that, I don't think McGuinness did anything in the game. Jake Doyle-Hayes did more in the 15 minutes or whatever that he was on the park than McGuinness did, and possibly McGeady did as well.
Was that easier for, just to play devil's advocate, was that easier for Jake Doyle-Hayes to look like he'd done more in those 15 minutes because Dundee United were sitting back and just allowing Hibs to chuck bodies forward?
Absolutely, but I'm not really sure what he done though to justify that billing you've given him. Anyway, I don't think he was bad, but I think
he looked for the ball, and when he got it, he moved it quickly. He passed the ball better than he was getting passed before, and into like decent, like passing it early and into decent. It's like he was making stuff happen. He wasn't just taking the safe pass all the time, but he was busy. He got involved. He influenced the game, and that was lacking prior to him coming on. That was my view on it.
Kenny, we've no spoken about, and it would be unfair to as Kevin Nisbet.
Mentally, five goals in 2 games, or was it 7 goals in 6?
7 and 6. Yeah, I mean, then his finishes were quality as well.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll probably have some talking points about Nisbet, but he's the consensus was he's keeping Johnson in a job at the minute, probably keeping us in the league as well. Would think we would be if instead of the season that we've had, we've got Boyle, McGeady, McGuinness, Nisbet fit from the start of the season. How different does the team look with them fit and firing?
I mean, but how far are we off third place now? Like 8 points or something?
Something like that, aye.
So we'd be up there, eh? So another three wins. Like, you know, it's not exactly unrealistic to imagine that we might have won 3 games that we've lost with him in the team, or turned draws into wins. So I think we would definitely be challenging for third place, more so than we are just now.
Aye, but Nisbet, he has been fantastic since he's come back in. I mean, he's not getting loads and loads of chances, but when he gets the ball,
he's clinical.
Aye, he's making something. His 2 goals yesterday were terrific.
Yeah, aye, they were really good finishes. But I don't think he's scored a shit goal really yet. A shit finish since he came back, and it's not like any of them that you're thinking, well, he's had the tapping and that, but you know, there's no been any like lucky ones. You get what I mean? Like they've all been good finishes. But he's a quality player. Well, I knew that. I did laugh at Spaces earlier on, like, because it was like somebody mentioned that there was folk wanting rid of him before his injury, which is true. And I'm sure there was people on there who were agreeing that they wanted that he must stay and we must keep him and he's excellent. Were some of the ones that were saying he should fucking go. I did laugh. I was.
That's what happens. I'm trying to find this. We're pretty much done with the tweets, but there was one that came in for short bangers last week that I thought actually would have been better for long bangers. I'm just trying to find it because I didn't think I remembered to.
Did you? What did you, John? Will you do that, right, John? Did you see that? You would have seen the bit at the end, near the end, when Rocky headed it back to Marshall.
Oh yeah.
And who you pinning that one on? Like, I've got it was right in front of me, so.
Aye, no, sorry, it was at the opposite end of the pitch for me, but I'm going to say that was about maybe like 5 minutes remaining, and Hibs had 3 up front at that point. They were chucking bodies forward. Dundee United are defending for their lives, trying to keep hold of the 3 points that they had. And I said to Jeff that was sat next to me that there's going to, like, what happens and what's typically happened in my time watching Hibs anyway in that sort of situation. You bomb players forward, you get caught out, there's a quick break, and something will happen, like Bashiri will make an arse of it. Not because of any previous criticisms with Bashiri, just because he was a defender. It's likely he was going to be like the last man there. Bashiri will fucking slip, player will go through, slot it past Marshall, and it'll be 3-1, that'll be game over, and we'll all go home. And within a minute, that happened.
We were sitting thinking like it was Marshall's fault. As much as it would have been Bashiri on the score sheet, we thought, like, why is he not coming? Why is he not speaking? Why is he not telling him? Like, you know, and Bashiri just sort of panicked, but thought, I just need to fucking get rid of this.
Yeah.
So it was really a bit of poor bit of defending. I like Marshall, but he's not quite landed yet where I thought. I thought he was going to come in and be like your Craig Gordon, pinging off saves left, right, and centre, and that. And really, what we got is just a decent passer of the ball.
Yeah.
Saved a couple of penalties, obviously.
He had a good save against Motherwell, and I don't know.
He had a good save yesterday as well. I think he saved. There's a Fletcher header maybe he saved. But
there was one that he tipped over the bar.
There was somebody earlier on. Was it JD Hibs posted they put the two anonymous goalkeepers stats side by side, and it was and who would you pick? And everybody was obviously picked that one, and it's Laidlaw for Ross County, whose stats against Marshalls.
Who Laidlaw was fucking honking and was chased out of Hibs.
Correct. But you probably find that his distribution wasn't very good.
No,
and that seems to be we place that as quite a high priority in our search for a keeper as a fan base. So,
is it possible that, like, I know that a goalkeeper's there to make saves and what have you, but is it possible that with the pressure that Hibs' defence is coming under, and by extension the goalkeeper, that Marshall is having more shots at him perhaps than other keepers?
I don't know if he's having more shots. I'd agree he's under more pressure on that, but I don't think the stats he's having more shots. Certainly his save percentage isn't that high though, either way.
No, it's not.
But the thing is, I do feel more comfortable with him in goals, so it's mad. It's like he's got that perception about him, or an aura around him, that you think you feel more comfortable in it, and the fan base isn't as anxious when the ball goes near him as they do with another goalie who might make more saves than him. It's weird.
Still looking for that tweet, Matty.
I found it. It was for Gaza, not the Gaza. Why announce the director of football now when discussed in November, but wait until the window's open? Don't know.
Why? No, well,
just why announce it now if it was discussed ages ago? Aye,
to take the heat off the top of everybody talking about it. It's a
pretty
PR,
much, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're good at the PR stuff at the moment. That's one thing that we're decent with that kind of stuff, I reckon. Like just diverting the attention elsewhere.
Right, just before we wrap up, because we're out of time for the night, we're speaking to Callum. Was Callum surname again? Callum,
Hanley.
Callum Hanley, yeah, thank you. Who said that they're trying to get, or they've moved the kickoff forward next Sunday at Meadowbank to
half 11.
Kickoff 11:30. So if you wanted to catch the women's game first, you could watch that and then head down to Easter Road for the derby. I think they're going to be announcing some ticket packages or deals on tickets through the week. So I said maybe give that a wee bump. So
the Spartans are playing, I think. So it's usually a decent sort of game. It's the original Edinburgh derby till Hearts started getting in and that.
Aye. So watch out for that. Anyway, hopefully I get the Hibs action for you. Hopefully 2 derby wins. It should be. Imagine getting 2 in the same day. Fucking hell. It's like they're normally years apart. Right. Thanks very much for coming on, guys. Thanks for the folk who jumped on Twitter Spaces earlier on. That's still on our Twitter if you want to go and listen back to it. If you want to hear extra time, where we'll be discussing Lee Johnson and his strengths, and also a bit about the best players in the squad, then you can go to our Twitter profile, click the wee link. It'll take you to Hubwave where you can sign up there for £3 a month. Pennies, really, isn't it? Over the course of the month.
Mate. Absolutely fuck all.
See, what does £3 actually buy you these days? A bottle of juice is just about £3 now in some shops.
Do you know what buys me though? I've got a few set of AirPods arriving tomorrow, so that's quite good. And I'm looking at a summer holiday right now.
Aye, excellent.
Promising my life so cool.
Aye, so good to sign up. Right, thanks very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't